Autoline After Hours is brought to you by Alex Partners, when it really matters, and by Borg Warner. The automotive industry continues to evolve, and so do the opportunities to define it. Borg Warner, one of the world's most admired companies, gets partners where they need to go. Let's do something big together.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. John's not here today, so once again, I have a very, very special program for us today. Last week, exactly 1 week ago today, Ward's handed out its 10 best engines and propulsion system trophies to deserving automakers for making engines and propulsion systems for EVs that were most impressive. So I have assembled a large percentage of the judges who made the determination about those awards from Wards. Yes. Easy for me to say. We have Christie Schweinsberg, Bob Gritzinger, and Drew Winter. So, Drew, give us, you're the vet here in terms of judging this. Give us a quick synopsis of what the awards are all about.
Well, a lot of it's about acknowledging, recognizing the engineers and designers and everybody else involved with developing engines and propulsion systems, and really giving them. I mean, when we started out 31 years ago or whatever, that was a big part of it, because the people working behind the scenes, particularly on mechanical stuff, not the designers or whatever, they just never got any recognition. So propulsion systems have become so important, over the years, that we've spent a lot of time with it and recognizing people, and it's been going on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And the people really appreciate it. And
that was the most gratifying part of the award ceremony a week ago today. All the thanks we got from the engineers who are in the trenches. Thank you for recognizing us and our teams and our hard work. So that's fantastic.
So Christie, you managed this program. What surprised you while you were working through this?
Just how good everything is. I've been, I managed this year, and I've been a judge for most of the past 20 years, programs for the past 20 years. And, every year there were one or two obvious non-winners, and that's not the case anymore. Everything is very close together when we tally our scores. There's really no one brand or automaker that isn't bringing their A game today. I mean, whether you're talking about, internal combustion engines or hybrid powertrains or, motor-based propulsion systems for electrics. I mean, everything is just really top tier. So it makes it very difficult to pick those 10.
Mm-hmm. So Bob, in your experience with this, I mean, is every year sort of a reset that they're all very good engines, or do some years seem to have a little bit better than other years?
It seems like in the history of the program, there were propulsion system engines that stayed on the list. Drew can speak to this for 7-8 years.
14 years. Nissan
VQ.
Yep, 14 straight years.
Yeah. And so, to your question, probably now it's more of a reset every year. It seems like it's pretty rare for a propulsion system to carry over to win back-to-back years. So we have a couple surprising winners this year that kind of carry on that tradition. But in general, I mean, everything seems almost new every year. And to Christie's point, really hard to differentiate best from also ran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that reminds me too, because in the early years, there was a lot of concern about, because engines weren't being, having these massive technological changes, every year or every few years. I mean, so that's where we said, well, okay, we're going to have to allow some people to be multiple winners because there just aren't that many great engines being developed and the technology isn't changing that much. And then, man, I would say when electrification started coming and there started becoming all this new technology, suddenly, there was completely new engines being redone, very quickly. Mm-hmm. So that made just the technological changes hard to keep up with.
Right. So this year there were 28 nominees on the list.
Yep.
And going into it, that you have to come down to 10. Mm-hmm. And so this was everything from the Acura ADX, well, start at the beginning of the alphabet,
right,
which was a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, to the Volvo EX90 electric propulsion system. So we run the gamut there. So there were straight up ICE engines.
8, yep.
There were hybrids.
10.
There were EVs.
10. Yeah.
So, that's where they all came from. And mm-hmm. There had to be an assessment. So it's not only an assessment of vehicle to vehicle or powertrain to powertrain, but it's sort of to be best in class because there are so many that are competitive with one another. That had to be tough to work out. And I should confess that I was a judge too. So,
yes.
and you can tell you're trying to compare electric to electric to electric, and most people driving those would say, "Whoa, great low end torque, from 0 RPM, and everything's wonderful, as I drive it around." So we're trying to look at those really detailed differences. Does it run out of gas, run out of electrons at speed? What's its miles per kilowatt hour? But its efficiency, and even recharging and those kinds of things go into it in terms of intangibles. But it can be really hard to define and differentiate.
But it seems to me that one thing that I think people might imagine, and I don't think this is the case, that you could just do this on a spreadsheet, right? You could just look at the numbers and say, oh, this truly has to be a winner. But there's more to it than that there's sort of the, how does this fit into this product?
Yeah. Oh, the application. Yeah. We have an intangibles category where we always consider, does this powertrain go with this vehicle? Mm-hmm. Does this feel like a natural fit, or does it feel unnatural? And we have technical relevance as well, where we're looking at, changes that have been made since maybe a prior generation engine or propulsion or, dual motor propulsion system or hybrid powertrain. And the innovation has, as Drew said, has just been at a ferocious pace. Mm-hmm. These, especially like the last 10 years.
Variable compression turbo. Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, to this point of the changes, and as you all mentioned, that there were 2 repeat winners, and so let's talk about the first one alphabetically, so it's not done any other way than that. The Ford F-150, a 3.5 liter turbocharged V6 hybrid, and it surprised me that a vehicle or a propulsion system that won a previous year was on the list for this year.
Right.
And I suspect that it did go back, when you were saying that in the olden days, things weren't changing all that often, so it made sense. But, it is astonishing to me that here is a setup that is capable of winning twice in a row against some very, very stiff competitors. So Bob, I know you like that a lot, that F-150 a lot,
and I'll admit I'm a truck guy, always have been. I enjoy what these engineers do with these trucks, and truck guys are V8 guys, and Ford truck guys are buying this powertrain for efficiency and for capability. it's as powerful as a V8, more so. I mean,
430 horsepower, 570 pound-feet, and rated 2224 city highway.
For a truck.
For a full-size pickup truck.
And what was the towing
down
capacity?
the road?
It was.
Don't have that here, but it was pretty significant.
I think it's like the highest towing capacity
like
that Ford.
8,800 or something.
No,
It's so really impressive, and also very functional for the vehicle. You don't notice that you're driving a hybrid.
No, the transitions are seamless between gas and electric.
Start, you'd never know what's happening.
Well, and the thing is, too, it wasn't that long ago that hybrids were considered these wimpy cars, or whatever, or vehicles. And now these hybrids are really strong.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding power. I mean, they're improving fuel economy.
Is filling in all of those low torque gaps from the engine.
Right.
So
So the other repeat winner was the Honda Civic Hybrid, 2-liter 4-cylinder hybrid, and
motor hybrid. Yeah. So actually, that was a 3-time winner because we had it in the Accord in 2023, a little bit different configuration versus the Civic. But so it won Civic in 24 and 25. I can't think of a single powertrain on the market that gives you so much for so little. You've got, great power, incredible fuel economy. We were getting around 50 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Not trying, just getting.
Not trying. We weren't hypermiling, we were just driving as normal. And although we tested it in one of the higher trim levels of the Civic, the Sport Touring hatchback, for 40, you can get a Civic hybrid, this powertrain in a Civic, for close to 30. Mm-hmm. Which is astonishing when you consider the average price of a new vehicle now in the United States is $50,000. It's like the full package.
Right.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Right.
And when you talk about the performance, the driving performance, I mean, at the end of the day, this is just a normal Civic. This is not the, Type R Civic. I mean, this is so it's.
But it has impressive numbers that come close to that. 200 horsepower, 232 pound-feet.
The highest, most powerful non-Type R.
Non-Type R, yeah. So you're getting a performance car with incredible fuel economy. Yeah.
But I think there needs to be a little asterisk by that performance car, because we'll get to some others here that truly have some like holy crap numbers.
Highly affordable performance. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
For going to Costco.
For going anywhere. Yeah. So.
All right. So I mean, now one of the things that I do find that interesting is that in both cases of the Ford and the Honda, those were the only powertrains that were on. They were returning winners, but these companies didn't have anything else. So do you think there's something about that they really, when they developed these powertrains, they really zeroed in on, we're going to make this the best for the longest time we possibly can? Yeah.
Well, they do tweak them, year after year. There are
the F-150 in that case, they moved the starter. They had a belt starter generator and they moved it to the transmission.
That sounds right. Yeah. You have to forgive us. We drove these in July and August, so our memories are a little fuzzy.
So that's
all the notes,
right away a technical innovation. They saw something and said, we can make this better, and here's how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So as I mentioned, there are some that were really, really performance oriented, so we'll go back to the beginning of the alphabet, the BMW M5, 4.4 liter turbocharged V8 plug-in hybrid that has total system output of 717 horsepower. I mean, it's just like that is just crazy.
And that's not even our highest horsepower in the competition. But it's an incredible powertrain. Obviously, incredible performance. On paper, it's impressive. And yes, we confirm by driving, absolutely impressive in the real world as well. And again, though, with the fuel economy, we were getting 27 miles per gallon. This is a heavy vehicle. This is the weight of a full-size pickup truck. It's like 5 2,800 pound-feet curb weight or pounds of curb weight. This is kind of a brick, and to get that kind of fuel economy with this kind of performance is really extraordinary.
And lots of different modes and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
right.
all sorts of things that you can do with the power, or with the efficiency, or whatever.
It's true to M. It can wear that M5 badge and be true to that. And again, that goes with that intangible that we look at. Does this powertrain sell this vehicle? And if you can go Autobahn speed one moment and then motor into Stuttgart on electric power, for 50 or 35 some miles.
On the battery alone, yeah.
Right.
So this raises a question in general, not just about this, but I mean, is it your impression that going forward, that whether we're talking about an M from BMW or we're talking a daily driver or Honda Civic, that electrification is going to be part of all powertrains going forward, or at least a larger percentage of them than ever before?
Yeah, to me, you're not really giving anything up. And now that the premium has shrunk, it used to be thousands of dollars more for the hybrid. If there were, a standard ICE and then a hybrid powertrain, thousands of dollars, and now it's down to hundreds. And you've got Toyota, which granted, it's a unique situation because they're the pioneer and they're the volume seller, but they've got about 10 vehicles now in the US market where you can only get a hybrid powertrain, right? I see it as, and I would hazard to guess that most Americans are probably doing more stop and go driving than long distance highway driving. And it's perfect for that situation. That's where you save the most fuel, get your best fuel economy. And yeah, then there's this aspect that when you put an electric motor with a gasoline engine, you're increasing the performance credentials. So I think it's
right. I mean, so the point of the BMW engine, I mean, if just the engine alone is a mere 577 horsepower,
right, and 14 miles per gallon.
So then you throw in the electric motor and you get up to 717.
Yeah.
So it make so as you're saying, Bob, that it's able to have that badge, with no question that it deserves it.
Can do it all. And I guess the only downside is people's concern about battery life and replacement of the battery.
Yeah,
but
we've got a lot of real world examples.
Real world now where
it's not a big deal.
Toyota hybrid, now they're not using lithium ion necessarily, but
nickel metal.
They're seeing
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
17 years, and
New York City taxis.
Your 12-volt battery is going to have to be replaced long
before that.
I mean,
exactly.
It's like,
yeah. So in that sense, you can now you can rely on a hybrid with a lithium battery or a plug-in to last. These things are warranted minimum for 10 years, it seems like, generally.
Right.
So you're not taking much of a chance to get a substantial benefit.
All right, so now we're going to move on to what is arguably the craziest item on the list. The Corvette ZR1 5.5 twin turbo V8.
Crazy is relative this year.
Okay, 1,064 horsepower from this internal combustion engine. I mean, non-electrified, just
there. Yeah, the electric with this is a 12-volt battery.
Yeah, that's basically it. Turn on the lights.
Yeah, but it's insane amount of power. This is what happens when engineers are allowed to, raise the bar. Well, take the bar and throw it out the window, because this car builds on the flat plane crank 5.5 V8 and adds twin turbos, a whole lot of fuel system delivery changes, unique turbos, some of the biggest in the business, and creating the highest, what is it? The highest, most powerful automaker produced V8 ever.
And it's based on still like an architecture that was made in like 1955 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Somewhere Ed Cole is smiling.
And this is another case of how you completely, you can take an engine and just evolve it, to just do amazing things.
Yeah, and I thought so. We actually did have a Zoom call with many of the engineers who worked on the program, and to your point, Drew, that they may be the unsung heroes, but boy, these guys were really excited about having had the opportunity to work on this engine.
Oh,
and
working in the toy store, basically.
Yeah. And they're working on the next one. You know what I mean? Right. It's just like, we'll see you guys again. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. When we add the electric motor to the front axle and we do the ZR1X, we'll see you next year.
Yeah. So that's
so. And this was 3 years in a row for a Corvette powertrain, going back to the 5.5 flat plane, the Z06, and then the E-Ray last year, and then this. It's astounding technology.
Hey, Barry, we got a question from one of our viewers. Barry Rector asked, does this engine put Corvette in the supercar category?
Well, it's...
So let me. I'll repeat. I got to repeat the question first.
Oh, sorry.
Because I can hear Sean. They can't. Barry Rector wants to know if this engine puts Corvette into the supercar category.
In my mind, yeah.
In terms of performance.
In
terms of performance, but also it's a $225,000 list for a Corvette. Corvettes have always been the affordable supercar.
But compared to them, like McLaren or some of these other things that cost $1 million or whatever,
and they've always matched up well. Now you have something that can blow them away, but also is priced up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be ashamed to bring this to the Nürburgring?
Oh, no.
It's been there.
It's been there. And, Mark Royce drove it 233 miles an hour. I mean, he's relatively capable, but not a race driver. So,
Okay, so we're going to move from the Corvette to something that was completely all new, inside, outside, all around, the Dodge Charger Daytona.
Yeah.
So this is the electric version, not now they've added the Hurricane engine to that, but this is the...
So I figured, it's pretty controversial, but it's really a fascinating engine and drivetrain. And I think I have to add a little bit of background first. In 2021, Tesla introduced their Plaid car. Over 1,000 horsepower, 3 electric motors, and it was faster than everything. You started seeing all these YouTube videos and everything, and all this trash talk coming from the Teslarati, blowing away all these muscle cars on the quarter mile. Yeah. And so then there was a whole thing of like, oh Jesus, just especially at that time, that ICE engines were done. Detroit was done. I mean, they're just all these dinosaurs. They can't, we can beat them at everything. And after talking to some of the engineers and everything else, I started figuring out, hey, they put tons of effort into this electric muscle car, and they weren't doing it to make money. They were doing it to defend their brand. And they want to say, look, we make muscle cars. Tesla doesn't make muscle cars. And so they came across with this thing that, 670 horsepower. It had, motors and both axles, which was really a key part to the Tesla. Tesla was really blown away because it had all-wheel drive, and all the other muscle cars were rear-wheel drive. That was part of the problem. But they made this car, not only was it just something that, could keep up, but also something that could do donuts, burnouts, and I could be some really loud with a really convincing engine, which I thought, I was one of them that I would have loved to have heard that be a fly in the room when they're talking about this car and they said, how are we going to make it sound like a real muscle car? And, they said, hey, we know somebody can do that. The pipe organ company.
Pipe organs. Yeah.
Really.
Not just speakers, not just internal to the cabin, but external and noticeable.
Yeah. So I just thought this whole picture of, this idea that Detroit was still full of these people that just wanted to make ice engines and everything. I thought it was just a really creative idea, and they really
they executed.
Yeah.
Of course, we did just establish that Detroit does want to make ice engines with that Corvette.
But
they do, but they can play in the all electric realm.
The point is, though, Tesla only makes electric vehicles. Okay, Detroit can make them both. So that was just I just really enjoyed learning about the car and talking to the engineers and everything else. That it was really a cool day and
cool
just
vehicle.
I did.
You loved it.
Yeah,
you loved it.
Yeah.
All right. Now another electric vehicle, but not a performance vehicle. The Hyundai Ioniq 9.
Well, kind of is. So you expressed, when Gary started judging, expressed concern that people are going to be getting into EVs and getting in accidents because of the power that is inherent in these electric motors.
Instant torque.
Right. And this is, I don't think it's going to be that serious, but this is kind of an example where you're buying what is essentially a family vehicle, but you're getting horsepower and torque that 10 or 15 years ago would have been considered ludicrous or insane, would have been like Corvette-like output. So the Ioniq 9 total system, it's a dual motor propulsion system. It's 422 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque.
Perfect family vehicle.
And a 3-row crossover that is going to shepherd the kids to, soccer practice and home. We had the top trim level. We had the performance all-wheel drive grade, so we did have the maximum output propulsion system with this vehicle. But and not only was the power fantastic, but we were getting great. We were getting 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is kind of like the baseline that you want to get in a EV.
And this is a 3-row.
It's
family
big.
hauling
It's
vehicle.
It's, that you don't associate with efficiency, per se. And I think in my profile of the story, all these powertrains were profiled, by the way, on wardsauto.com. If you go under 10 best, you can read about each one. That this has more horsepower and a lot more torque than the Tau V8 in the first generation Hyundai Genesis, which again was back then considered ludicrous output. And here it is.
Christie, only you and I remember that engine sound. Okay, another hybrid, the Lexus LX700H. It's 3.4 liter turbocharged V6. Now, what's interesting, this is the first application of a hybrid in the Lexus flagship that is meant to be able to go places where Lexuses are never going to go. I mean, it's just
you're
not going to get stuck on a mountain with one of these, but you're probably never going to be on a mountain with one of these.
Well, they do sell a lot in the Middle East, per what they've told us. So, but certainly in the United States, it's more of a country club vehicle. But still, incredible performance. Again, kind of like moderate considering some of our other winners, but 457 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque. And we were getting, it's rated 1922 city highway. We were getting 20 pretty solid, 20 miles per gallon combined with our testing. And again, kind of unexpected, power. I mean, it is a big SUV versus being a crossover, but
there are frame rails involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and again, smooth transition. I think we could say that of all of our hybrids this year, from gas to electric, and vice versa. You just don't notice it like you used to.
So now another all EV, the Lucid Gravity. They're more affordable.
Yeah.
Chuckle.
Yeah.
Well, compared to an Air, but
Right.
Yeah. So this is the new Lucid SUV. They've had the Air, and we actually awarded this dual motor propulsion system is in the Air, and we awarded it in 22 and 23, and this year we brought it back,
Gravity.
They brought it back in the Gravity. They brought it in the Gravity, and we really loved the application. And so this is one of the more ludicrous performers: 828 horsepower, 909 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
And,
what were the modes?
Swift, sprint. I can't remember them all.
It's like slow, sprint, and swift or something.
There's
and
4.
when you go into the max,
it snaps your neck. Yeah, you got some little whiplash.
That's an example of a different feeling
ludicrous.
from an EV.
Yeah.
That was just crazy. I mean, you just touched the pedal, and I think it was a sprint mode.
Yeah,
but
it's insane.
Still pretty efficient.
Still pretty efficient.
Well.
We were near 3. We had the 3-row model. It comes in a 5-passenger, 7-passenger, so we had the 3-row. So it did have a little more weight. We had the bigger wheels, but we got like 2.8, I think, miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty
low for Lucid. Lucid is
low for Lucid. It's a taller vehicle than the Air. Obviously, it's
they couldn't do all the tricks.
Yeah.
So.
But Lucid also does some things too that I think is important in terms of they're really good at aerodynamics. They're also really good at
the motor design,
the compact motor designs, and they're always doing a lot of innovations that really probably only engineers appreciate. But they're doing a lot of interesting stuff still.
Yeah.
So we had an M from BMW. So we have an AMG from Mercedes, the E53. 3-liter turbocharged i6 plug-in hybrid.
Right.
So
mid-size sedan, over 600 horsepower. Combined with the electric, and I thought it was really interesting. I briefly had a plug-in hybrid for a while, and I got sold on it. Really, how if you can just plug the thing into your garage, and really not have to go to the charging station or the gas station very much, I think that's really.
It doesn't require a big investment in high-level charging in your garage. You can just plug it in.
Yeah.
To your regular.
So Bob, tell me about the performance of this vehicle, though. How did you like it? I mean, did you? The Mercedes compared to the BMW. I mean, the BMW we were talking about an SUV there, but this is
kind of off the hook.
Sedan,
but this is true to an AMG for certain. Plenty of power, but also with a really good plug-in range.
Right.
Like 50 miles, I want to say.
Not on the log sheet here, but we were getting 55 miles per gallon. That was me.
Yeah.
78% of my miles were electric. I got 55.4 mpg. And
you
some
can
other
drive
people got
the thing at 80 some miles an hour.
No, you can't, Bob. That's illegal. I want all of our viewers to know.
Yeah.
Observed all traffic laws.
Yeah. It was theoretical.
So theoretically, according to BMW or according to Mercedes, yes. So,
all right. So we're going to come to the final one, and this I think is in some ways a revelation. The Nissan Leaf, the new Nissan Leaf EV.
Yeah, single motor propulsion system, and again, our minds are kind of warped out by all these really powerful engines and propulsion systems that we forget that 261 pound-feet, when we were awarding the Nissan VQ back in the 90s and early 2000s, that was what the output was. This is 214 horsepower, 261 pound-feet, and here it is in a single motor, not a dual motor, single motor propulsion system, and we were getting like nearly 4 miles per kilowatt hour in our test driving, and the price point for this for this propulsion system in this vehicle between $30,000 and $40,000. It's extraordinary.
And I think that's the thing that I think people should take away from this list, that we go from vehicles that cost well over $100,000 to cars like the Leaf and the Civic, which are amazing in terms of the performance they're providing.
Absolutely.
And yet, you don't have to sell a kidney to get one, right? I mean, you can just.
Yeah, that's important.
We've always wanted attainable. We used to have a price cap. I forget what it was.
60,000 in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we lifted the price cap, but we still always are mindful to have engines and powertrains rather, that are within reach of the average middle class car buyer in the United States.
That price cap had to go with electrics because of,
Yeah, the early ones were so much more expensive.
All that and trying to factor in.
Yeah, that's another thing is, most
tax breaks,
propulsion systems are in sort of luxury and premium mass market models. And it is kind of a rarity these days to find something under $50,000. So that the Leaf is, it's just an extraordinary deal.
All right, we went over the 30 minutes that we were supposed to devote to this, and we are now going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors, which we greatly appreciate having sponsors. So we want to thank BorgWarner and Alex Partners for making all this possible. So we'll be right back.
The automotive and industrial sectors are undergoing a historic transformation. Electrification, digitalization, supply chain reinvention, regulatory shifts. The pace is accelerating and the pressure to adapt is real. This is not a time for hesitation. It's a time for bold decisions, backed by fast, effective execution. You need a partner who understands complexity, from factory floors to boardrooms, and delivers measurable results. That partner is Alex Partners, when it really matters.
The automotive industry continues to evolve, and so do the opportunities to define it. BorgWarner, one of the world's most admired companies, gets its partners where they need to go. Let's do something big, together.
Okay, and we are back. So guys, on last week's show, we talked about Carlos Tavares. You weren't here last week, obviously.
I was not. No.
And he was making a suggestion that perhaps it's possible that Stellantis would break up, whereby there would be the American operation and then something else that would be different in Europe. So now Tavares has come out and said that there is a distinct possibility, in his mind anyway, that quote, I'll quote him, "We can't rule out that at some point Hill," meaning Elon Musk, "will decide to leave the automotive industry to refocus on humanoid robots, SpaceX, or artificial intelligence. Elon Musk will have left the auto industry." Now he's talking about maybe within a decade. Okay, so is Carlos Tavares just trying to generate interest in Carlos Tavares, or does he have a point here?
I think both.
If you look at the history of Chrysler and Daimler, and I mean all these, the whole history, there's been not a lot of stability over a long time.
I'm amazed that Tesla has survived this long with the far-ranging different things that Musk has been into. I mean, you mentioned Grokpedia, right?
Yeah.
And I just, first of all, I'm one of the millions of Robert Heinlein fans who, just cringe that someone has taken this word and applied it in all these different ways. And part of the definition of it is empathy, which doesn't exist in the Musk empire, as far as I can tell. So who knows where it goes?
I think he's not really saying anything new. I think Wall Street has been realizing that, running an auto business is high risk and low reward, basically. It's a lot of money.
Low reward. He's talking about he wants a deal for $1 trillion.
I'm just talking about the Tesla aspect, but definitely I think he is more concerned with SpaceX and all these other ventures than Tesla. So to see him go from Tesla would not be surprising, except he's a very prideful person, it seems. So, that could keep him around.
So Tavares said, quote, Tesla's stock market value loss will be colossal because this valuation is simply stratospheric. And he's referring to what would happen if Musk were to leave the company. Now, several Yale researchers came out with a report this week, which talked about how Elon Musk's, quote, polarizing and partisan actions have impacted Tesla vehicle sales in the United States. And the researchers discovered, quote, without the Musk partisan effect, Tesla sales between October 2022 and April 2025 would have been 67 to 83% higher, or equivalent to 1 to 1.6 million more vehicles.
Right.
So that's in the U.S. Think about Europe as well.
So how's
isn't it very much like Henry Ford the First, where he was a genius and built this huge thing with Ford and the Model T and everything else, and then he just could not evolve more. I mean, he wouldn't change the design, and sales fell off. Cadillac and all General Motors came in with good styling, and I think
innovation.
And I think he's talked a lot about just not wanting to spend. The exterior designs of all the Teslas are starting to look stale.
Right. They did do the change for the Model Y this year, but they've been pretty static in sort of the physical elements, choosing to focus on the digital elements. But there's also the Chinese that are coming in they've come in with battery electric vehicles, and they're proving you can do it.
And great exterior design,
with great exterior design and at a lower cost as well, lower price.
I think Musk just has to, being this tech guy, he just doesn't think of aesthetics and things like that, and it's too hard. He wants to move on to other stuff, maybe, because it was when Henry Ford came in after World War II. He was the one that finally started putting modern styling.
The second.
Right. So what was the 39 Ford or whatever started? Yeah. Suddenly, when they got better design and realized that the public, it meant a lot to car buyers and stuff like that, things changed. So, I mean, I think he's not, Musk isn't a car guy. So maybe he shouldn't, he should get away from the business.
We'll see how that works out for the company. Again, earlier this week, NVIDIA had one of their big conferences, their GTC conferences. And I think if people were to go back in the Autoline After Hours archives, we had NVIDIA's Danny Shapiro on the show on several occasions. And now they're like the $5 trillion company. I mean, NVIDIA is just blown up. And I think it's because of Danny being on this show, but I just want to make it. Sean's agreeing with me. Please
it'd only be $2.5 trillion if he had only been on once.
So NVIDIA announced a partnership with Uber, and they're going to be developing what they claim will be the world's largest level 4 ready mobility network. So basically what we're talking about here is a self-driving vehicle that would be within a geofence of some sort. So not level 5, which is drive anywhere you want to go, and it'll do so. So they are planning on having a fleet starting in 2027 that they're going to be growing. So some have reported that it would be 100,000 in 2027. No, they're going to start in 2027 using this new technology that NVIDIA has developed. And Stellantis is working with NVIDIA on level 4 technology. Interesting. Stellantis working with Foxconn, which makes iPhones, to do hardware for their and systems integration for what they're coming up with using NVIDIA. The aforementioned Lucid is working with NVIDIA for its upcoming models. Mercedes-Benz is testing with NVIDIA for what they'll be bringing to the party. And in trucking, there's Aurora, Volvo, on it goes, okay? Now, do you think maybe what's happened is that NVIDIA has gotten to the point where they're going to be able to just basically sell kits to automakers that automakers would then be able to plug into their vehicles and voila, have level 4 systems?
Well, that's the dream we've been told, right? That it's going to be plug and play. In reality, I think it'll be much tougher because aerodynamics and weight distribution and powertrain differences, and there will be some testing and some integration.
Some dude just won't calibrate it and boom, good to go.
I don't know about that. We've heard these proclamations so many times now about, now we're going to have advanced AVs. Or
Drew's going to have a stroke over here.
Within geofenced areas, I can see that. But then what is that? Uber from your parking lot to your plane? Geofenced in a
small
mobile home in one of the communities in Florida, retirement communities. They already have their golf carts. Drew, carry on.
Well, I started following NVIDIA and autonomous cars like 10 years ago, and it was back then with autonomous cars. They call it the trolley question or whatever, the trolley car question, because they figured you had to have an autonomous car that could pick, because if it was going to crash into a school bus with kids or just run down a couple of people, you had to have the car to be smart enough not to do that. And I remember talking to NVIDIA, asking him that, and he just kind of went, those kind of accidents usually happen when somebody's distracted or they're drunk or they're having a stroke. That's not really the real problem. And so I think from the baseline, I think NVIDIA knows, how to make great autonomous cars. But the other issue is, how do you deal with everybody else dealing with the car? Because I actually did some interviews with some cultural anthropologists and stuff who worked with Nissan and some of the other companies, where, you have to have the car somehow when it's stopped at a crosswalk, people have to know, does it see me? Or how does the car deal with road rage and all other things that are going on that I'm not sure are going to be easy for them to solve. So, if anybody can do it, I think they can do it, but I don't think it's going to be.
Well,
easy.
The thing that I wonder about is that, okay, you see, let's take, for example, General Motors, which, is putting a lot of effort into its Super Cruise system, right? And I'm just wondering whether NVIDIA might not just be able to come up with something that they go like,
even better.
Here, buy this, and it's it'll be level 4.
It could happen. We saw in the case of electric vehicles, Nissan did a joint venture for batteries, and then I forget the company, but they were usurped by the batteries that LG was giving General Motors, and then they were stuck with this plant with this joint venture part. So it could totally happen with AVs as well.
I wonder how this plays with Mercedes. They did that whole route in Germany where 62 miles or something, 162 miles the vehicle went autonomously with, somebody monitoring what it was doing, but it completed the route. They seem to have starting with Distronic and Distronic Plus and their systems, they seem to be well on the road to developing what they need. So now they want to buy something off the shelf that supplants all of the work they've been doing, or does it build on that?
Well, I think in the case of like what Mercedes is doing or what Lucid is doing is they're basically buying the stuff and working with NVIDIA to do this, so it would be in concert with them. But I just get back to the whole question of whether or not, it might not be a package at some point.
Yeah, like Apple CarPlay.
You get the sensors, you get the, what you need, and then boom,
Yeah.
They provide the brain. I mean, even General Motors is working with NVIDIA on its new electrical architecture. That's going to be, NVIDIA Thor chips are going to be on the inside of those things.
But will they want to keep it in their cars now? Will they want to have the ownership of that, or would they just,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about Apple CarPlay and those and Google now. I mean, they don't want, they used it, and now what? They're trying to get totally
Rid of it.
get rid of it.
So I knew you were going to want to talk about AVs, so I did a little research, and there was some study presented, I think at the Munich show in September, and prognosticators are saying really for the next 10 years still we're going to have mostly level 2 and level 2 plus systems in market. So
it's not the year of autonomy. Sorry to announce it.
So
John's not here, so I can say it's not the year of autonomy.
So we'll have fuel cells before we'll have autonomous vehicles.
I don't know about that.
A lot to still work out.
From what I can tell, when they fix one problem, they create one or two more, in terms of like the systems that are in market now and some of the issues that people have been encountering while they're driving, and, mistaking something for, something that should make it stop, and then the vehicle just stops when there's actually no obstacle, and then they try to fix it, and then it creates,
Yeah. And
we'll see.
$5 trillion company, and with chips in all these companies, at some point this becomes an antitrust thing.
Well, Qualcomm has systems,
whole different
and
deal.
so they can do it. But okay, so I want to ask you. So we talked the first half of the show, or first 2/3 of the show, about powertrains. Okay, one of the things that also occurs to me is that, okay, if you have an autonomous vehicle, what difference is a powertrain going to make? I mean, because you're going to be driven. You're not driving, right? If you're in a level 4 vehicle, you're being driven.
Yeah. You want it to be really smooth for sure.
So I've been reading about or seeing how, I guess, people who are doing scripted content, TV shows, movies, are having to dumb down the plot because people are scrolling while they're watching. So in an autonomous vehicle, everybody's going to be scrolling, and maybe we'll have to dumb down the powertrain. But also, if we exist in this promised land of AVs where you've got V2V and V2X and this sort of like perfectly choreographed situation, are you ever going to have to? Is your vehicle ever going to have to accelerate hard?
Yeah.
It like,
you really want it to be a smooth launch and a smooth step.
Yeah.
One of the only real significant differences would be cold weather climates, and you would need all-wheel drive electric versus
right.
You would think there'd also be a mode where you could take over as a driver.
Yeah, but that would but if you're building a car and it's going to be level 4, why would you put in the steering wheel and the pedals?
Yeah, right.
Well,
it's extra cost.
Again, if you slide off into a ditch or whatever, or all these, again,
they send an AV to get
you on your phone and they're going to send you another one.
But I mean, that's
we got to slide off on.
Yeah, but then, like, again, are you even going to notice? If you're just like mindlessly scrolling or watching a movie and
you don't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
I could see that if you're in China or in the California on the expressway cruising around or whatever. But I want to go on Highway 1 in California in an autonomous car.
You get to watch the scenery.
Yeah.
It'd be great. All right.
No, I'm too old fashioned, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you want to drive.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. You want to drive. And that's what'll be left.
How quaint.
The BMW drivers.
Well, it'll be people
he'll be listening to Sammy Hagar and driving.
People who can afford
on a track
and want to drive will, I think, until it's outlawed.
Exactly.
And then they'll just go to
and when
places
guns
like
are
M1.
outlawed, cars will be outlawed.
I think they're gonna that's gonna happen.
It's not right. Not gonna happen.
They're gonna put cars into the Second Amendment, and
it'll be what are we up to now? 23. It'll be the 27th Amendment.
All right. So we sort of saw this coming, but it still is somewhat surprising, I think. So General Motors is basically going to be putting hundreds and hundreds of people on hiatus at its famous Factory Zero plant, where it builds only electric vehicles.
Right.
Only high-priced electric vehicles.
Well,
I think is the problem.
that's a better way of putting it, Christie. High-priced electric
well,
vehicles.
No, is it built there?
No, it's the IQ,
Escalade IQ.
Escalade IQ, the Hummer EV.
All six-figure vehicles.
Yeah, it's with the really big battery. Yeah,
and then a knock on to that is that they're going to be laying off people at their Ultium joint venture battery plants. So, okay, is this just a temporary phenomenon that is predicated on the interest in EVs immediately declining because of the $7,500 tax credit? I mean, I don't think any of these vehicles qualified for a $7,500 tax credit because they were too expensive, but the leasing loophole would have gotten them that. But I mean, so is this just like the first shoe to drop?
I mean, putting only high-priced vehicles in one plant was a bad strategy. They should have had it more balanced, because we can see with the Equinox EV, they're doing fantastic. If you price a vehicle right and it has the right specs, 300 miles of range, people are going to want it. They're going to want to buy it. Great lease deal on that right now. I think actually you can get an Equinox EV for less if you lease than you could get an ICE Equinox. I have to admit, I thought that this was a winning strategy to replicate, put dual motor propulsion or propulsion systems in every segment of vehicle, because before 10, 15 years ago we had all these compact car EVs and nobody wanted them, right? But I think the sweet spot is that sort of compact midsize crossover. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your high-priced EVs in a single plant, because that was a bad recipe.
I'm not sure if even if they qualified a $7,500 tax break or rebate or tax break
would do much.
Impacts someone who can afford those vehicles. So something else is happening here. It feels like the market is moving away or slowing down in ways that we're not aware of. It could be, when 1,000 engineers or people like that lose their jobs, that has a ripple effect throughout the industry, and it may not still apply, but when GM sneezes, right, the country gets a cold. So let's see where it goes.
So we missed this. So it was actually announced in September, so I apologize for us being tardy in this, but I was surprised to see that Bosch, German company, announced that it is going to be departing with 13,000 people as it works to save $2.9 billion. And although Bosch is in everything from,
it's global, right? Or global?
Yeah. And, and they make dishwashers and they make, all tools and so on. But I mean,
it's not just fuel injection.
But their big loss was in their mobility sector.
Yeah.
And so, people are, losing jobs at OEMs, and now people are losing jobs in a big way at suppliers. I mean, is this industry perhaps not the industry people ought to be in if they're looking for a future?
John always talks, he's not here, but I'll lean on one of his talking points. There's 3 million units lost in Europe of new light vehicle sales from before COVID to now, and there's no indication they're going to come back. I'd imagine Bosch's business is still a little bit more weighted toward European automakers versus other regions, but here in the U.S. we're stagnant. Most countries and regions have hit peak auto. There is no forecast out there that says all of a sudden, Americans are going to start buying a bunch more new vehicles, and it's obvious why, because when the average price of a new vehicle in the United States is $50,000, you're going to leave a lot of people on the sidelines. So the industry has, I think, some dark days ahead, unfortunately.
Shrinking.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap this. I want to wrap this on something that's happier than that. Okay, so this 50,000.
Halloween.
Okay.
Okay. Candy? No, go ahead.
I've been skeptical of Slate, but I'm now becoming less skeptical of Slate with their idea of having a electric truck basic in the mid-20s that people can buy. And they announced this week that they're going to be supercharger capable. And what I thought was very fascinating, and I want to get this right because I have this in here somewhere. Of course I do. I'm not going to find it quickly enough. That they're going to be they're announcing service through a network Repair Pal certified shops, and so these are basically in lieu of having dealerships. You'll go to one of these places, which you can find online. I looked in my area, and there are several of these shops. Of course,
EVs don't need that much service anyway.
Yeah, and but I mean, isn't this a clever idea that you can sell an affordable vehicle?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be
what
positive
a novelty,
here.
affordable vehicle.
Well, I mean, what else?
There are certainly people that just want some mobility.
Something basic. Yeah.
Not every. All these things are being added that will prevent you from being in a crash, will tell you how to get from point A to point B, will
play you a movie.
Your phone can do that.
All these things. And hell, a crank window is not a bad thing.
Well, I know.
Once you
take one of those little.
Teach people what they are.
Can you get those little vent wings? That'd be nice. Can we get that back?
Oh, the vent window.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the most popular car in Europe is from that. They have a what's the name? It's a Dacia. Yeah, they have an instrument panel where you can just plug your phone in, and then it connects with all your, it's your whole infotainment system and navigation system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the cheapest car in Europe, and it's also the most popular, and so
GM doesn't like that.
No, well, none of the automakers don't like that, but I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how well they do, because there's this whole world needs lower priced cars.
Yeah.
So the future is affordability.
And we've got two great powertrains that we chose that are
way more affordable.
So Christie's just selling this 10 best engines.
I want to end on a positive note too. I want to end on a positive note too.
So it'll be the Civic Hybrid
and the Leaf.
The Leaf.
Yeah. You don't need to spend a lot to get a great powertrain.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we will end the show because Christie just had a direction for all of you. Get a Civic or a Leaf, right?
I don't know if I'd say that, but you probably don't need as much vehicle as you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can read up on all of them on boardsauto.com.
Exactly.
That's right. All right. Boy, man, this is getting shameless here.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, man.
Does anybody have a book to sell?
Now that you mentioned it. All right, Christie Schweinsberg, Bob Gritzinger, Drew Winter. We want to thank you guys.
He's Gary Vasilash.
Yeah, they say so. And we want to thank all of you for watching. And we'll be back next week. These guys won't be, but we'll have someone else for you. So thank you.
AutoLine After Hours is brought to you by Alex Partners, when it really matters, and by Borg Warner. The automotive industry continues to evolve, and so do the opportunities to define it. Borg Warner, one of the world's most admired companies, gets partners where they need to go. Let's do something big together.